Another form of conversion you may find yourself running into is converting a subdivision surface back over to a polygon, maybe for skinning, maybe for texturing, for maybe, it could be a lot of reasons. Maybe you are working with an application that won't accept subdivision surfaces, and it needs to be a polygon, like a game engine. What I'm going to do to create our subdiv surface is we'll make a standard subdiv plane, and let's shade things up, and I'll hide away my grid because we don't really need it. And let's grab vertices. Also, I'm going to go under Display, Heads-Up Display, and switch on Subdiv Details so that I can tell what current subdivision level we happen to be in. So if I switch over to vertices, like so, now we're in standard. There's a vertex, we're at level 0. I'm going to start off by doming this up a little bit. And then let's go a level finer, and I'll grab these vertices here, and let's pull them up a little bit. And let's go under Subdivision Surfaces, and we'll refine that to give us more detail. I'll grab a selection. Actually, let's grab it kind of in the corner here. And we'll pull this up and refine. I'll make a selection here, pull that up, and refine. Then I'll make a selection here, and we'll pull that up. And then maybe I'll grab the vertices here in the middle of that and pull those back down. And if I hit 3, you can see what this looks like. So this is my high-tech subdivision surface model. And the only reason I did this was so that you can see a model that has different levels of subdivision on the surface and is fairly easy to create. So that's all there is to it. All right, let's go to Modify, Convert, Subdiv to Polygons, and open up our settings. I'll reset everything. You have 4 separate methods of tessellation here. You have Uniform, Adaptive, Polygon Count, and Vertices. We're going to start off by talking about Uniform. Now what Uniform is going to do is tessellate your surface based only on the base mesh, your level 0 vertices. So you can either come to vertices and switch down to level 0. So you go all the way down as far as you can go. And you will be making a surface based on these vertices, or if you need another way to look at it, you can hold down the right mouse button and go over to polygon mode, and you'll be making a surface based off this original surface here. So if I go ahead and click Apply, here's what we end up with. Now, because I was in polygon mode when I did that, that is actually a remnant. So make sure that when you do a conversion, you are in standard mode and not in polygon mode. So we've divided that up once because we had 1 division per face. And here's what we end up with. Notice it's only based on the detail there at level 0, so all we get is that gentle doming up. Now, this can be a little confusing to a lot of people because you see an option in here called Level. You may think at the top of your head, it's like, oh, well, I can set this to level 4, and now I will be converting uniformly over to my level 4 vertices. That is not the case. When you hit Apply, all you end up with is a smoother version of what you have before, maybe showing just a little bit of detail where you had something going on, but in most cases you won't even really get that. What you are doing is you are tessellating this on 2 levels. The first level is designated here in the first slider, so I'm taking my base mesh, and in this case I'm tessellating it twice. And then underneath this you have divisions per face, so you can take this mesh that I just created, and you could tessellate this even further. So I could take divisions per face, set that up to about 3, and notice things get much tighter as I go along. So it just gives you nice uniform tessellation, but it doesn't really base anything off all of your original detail. Now down from here, you have what you're going to do to the original object. Are you going to replace it, hide it, or show it? If you show it, it's going to be linked to the original object, almost as if there's a hierarchy between the two. So for our examples, we'll just use replace. In this tessellation method, you can also share the UVs. So you can take the UV information from your original object and send that down to your newly tessellated polygon object. Our next method is adaptive, and what this is going to do is try to replicate the amount of detail you have on the surface in a polygon surface. And if you leave this at 1 division per face and click Apply, it's real easy to see that, because what you end up with is polygons exactly where you had subdivision surface faces. So I could come in here and I could go to vertices and I could pull these around. Now this is not a bad way to do this, but you may end up with some jagged areas in some areas. You might have to come in and maybe create some smoothing or play with that a little bit, just tweak out some vertices to get exactly what you're looking for. Let me go ahead and undo. Now, you can change the number of divisions per face, and the higher you go, the higher each one of these faces becomes subdivided to get something closer to your original surface. But you'll notice that the subdivision takes place very much like an original subdivision surface where polygon edges will end right in the middle of a connection to another polygon face. But it doesn't really pose a problem as long as your object is remaining relatively still. In animation, you might break some of your normals and cause some problems there. So I wouldn't do this for an object that I was planning on skinning or animating in the future. So let's go ahead and go back to our original object. And really, that's all there is to adaptive. It's just kind of letting Maya directly convert and then subdividing whatever it comes up with based off the original subdivision surface mesh. Next, we have polygon count. This is where you can tell Maya exactly how many polygons you'd like your new mesh to have. So if I set this to 1, this is what we get. Notice it's not just one polygon. It's just as low as the thing's going to allow us to go. I can set this as high as 2,000 with a slider, and this is what we get. Notice it's following primarily just those level 0 vertices, so it's not really following that original detail very well at all. That's all there is to it. Our vertex mode allows us to select a level of vertices on the surface to which we'd like to convert. Now, on this surface, I have, let's see, what level do I go up to? It looks like we don't go any higher than level 4, so I could set this to level 4 and click apply. And now I've converted everything over as if the whole surface was made of level 4 vertices, and I converted those directly over to a polygon shape. So it gives you nice uniform distribution at whatever level you choose. If I choose a lower level, like if I go down to 3, notice I start losing that detail. I only have the detail up to whatever level I choose. So if I come down to level 2, I get this. And if I go all the way down to level 1, I get this. So that's all there is to it. So there's a look at all of the options you have for converting a subdivision surface over to polygons. Very, very easy, very intuitive. You have a lot of options here based on what kind of mesh you like when you're done. Do you want it to have all of that subdivision surface detail? If so, how smooth do you want it to be? And that'll really wrap things up for this video. Thanks a lot.